Today we're gonna learn what a video editing sequence is and how to create one or different sequences inside Premiere Pro. Hello and welcome to a new video tutorial. This is going to be a tutorial targeting the very beginners of Premiere Pro. In the description tab down here, you will find the timestamps with all the sections we're going to cover about this subject. So if there is a specific section you want to watch, go and check it out down here. And I have already some material in the project panel. So the first thing you want to do is to import some of your footage in Premiere Pro. Let's talk about sequences and what a sequence is. In a few words, a sequence is a container of your clips. So it's the space where we are going to edit and be creative with our clips. We're gonna cut and stitch together all the different footage. We're going to add the audio, sound effects, and everything to achieve a great video. And a sequence plays on a timeline. Another thing you want to do, if you don't have a timeline open, you just want to go to Window and scroll down and click on Timeline. And it will appear somewhere, so you want to adjust the workspace as you wish. Today I'm going to share with you 3 ways to create sequences inside Premiere Pro for different purposes. And the first one is very simple, and then I'm going to tell you why this method is very useful. My footage is actually made of 3 clips so far, and you will notice I've got 3 different frame rates for the 3 different clips. Now, if you don't see this information, these are called metadata, and you can choose your metadata by right-clicking here on the header of the project panel, click on metadata, and you can choose whatever you want to see here in this space. I'm not going to go through all the metadata, but what's important for me today and for you guys is to have a look at the frame rate and video info. So make sure these 2 names are appearing in the project panel. I'm going to press cancel for now. And let's say I want to create a sequence with a 24 frames per second for the first clip. It's very simple. What I do, I just click on the first clip, drag it on my timeline. As you can also read here, drop media here to create a sequence. I drop it here, and a new sequence has been created with my clip inside already, and the sequence will appear in the project panel in this folder because we haven't created any folder, and that's the next thing I want you to do. So we're gonna go to the project panel, press Command B, or also you can create a new folder by going down here, new bin, and we're gonna call it edits. This is my workflow. We're gonna drag this sequence in there, and the sequence already took the name of the clip we dragged into the timeline. So we're going to rename this sequence, and you can name it as you wish. I just call it 24 FPS Full HD. So in the metadata, you can see the frame rate, but also the resolution of your clips. And I'm gonna show you the second way to create a new sequence. For the second way, you want to make sure you open up enough the project panel to see this icon, which is called New Item icon at the very bottom of the project panel. Now what we're gonna do is to click on the clip, the 25 frames per second clip this time, and drag it in the new item. And I'm gonna drop it there. And once again, a new sequence has been created with the name of the clip we just dragged. Once again, I'm going to rename the sequence in the project panel, and this time I call it 25 FPS Full HD. And I move the sequence inside the edits folder. So very quickly, we have already seen 2 different ways to create sequences, and these ways of creating sequences are very helpful if you want to create a sequence with the same settings of your clip, of your footage, as I mentioned. And if you go here in the edits and actually check the metadata of the 2 sequences, you will see that the sequences have the same frame rate of the clip. So 24 and 25 frames, but also the same resolution, so Full HD. I'm going to have a quick break to let you know that if you still are concerned about resolution, frame rate, all the basics of video making and video editing, go and check my full and complete video editing course on my website. The link is down here. So go and check it out. We cover literally everything well, more or less everything for beginners in Premiere Pro. So definitely I recommend to go and check it out. Now let's carry on. Also, I've already created some vlogs and tutorials about some of the basics of video making, so go and check them out in the description tab down here, where you can find actually tutorial about resolutions and also frame rate, what frame rates are and the different frame rates. So go and check them out. I'm going to show you the third way to create a sequence now. And to do so, we want to click on the Edits folder first. Here in the project panel, we go to the drop-down menu at the top and choose File, New, and we go to Sequence. Now don't click yet, because as you can see, Premiere is suggesting to also press Command N to create a new sequence. This is a shortcut, and in Windows machine it should be Control N. So let's go back to the project panel, stay on Edits and press Command N or Control N on your keyboard. And this panel will pop up. And I'm gonna tell you why this is the best way for me to create a sequence, because I can choose everything about the settings. So I can choose the frame rate, I can choose the resolution and all the different audio settings as well. So whatever you want is right here. This is a great way if you have mixed footage, so different frame rates, but you want to use a sequence with a specific frame rate. If I have 25, 24 and 60 frames per second, as I have here in my project panel, let's say I want a sequence at 24. This is the best way to do so and choose my frame rate. On the left hand side here, now we can find under the sequence preset some templates that Premiere is giving us already, ready for us to be used. You can scroll through and choose the different frame rates, different camera types as well. These are brands of different cameras. And let's say I want to work with the 59.94 frames per second clip now. But instead, I'm going to create a full frame sequence which plays at 30 frames per second. So you can also scroll through the settings and choose here the different frame rates. You can change the aspect ratio and the resolution of your sequence as you wish. And so for now, we just click OK. A new sequence has been created here at 30 frames per second, full HD, and we're gonna call it actually 59 FPS 4K, because my 60 frames per second clip is actually a 4K file. And now have a look at this. First of all, on the timeline, we have the new sequence, which is empty this time because we didn't drag any clip yet inside the timeline. And what we want to do is to drag the 60 frames per second clip inside the timeline and see what happens now. So there's a warning board. Basically, Premiere is saying, you have created a 30 frames per second sequence in full HD, but now you are importing in my sequence a file which is 60 frames per second in 4K. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to adapt the sequence to your clip, or you want to keep your original settings? And here, that's your choice. If I do change sequence settings, have a look here in the project panel what happens. The frame rate has been changed and also the resolution. So Premiere adapted the sequence to your clip. I'm gonna go back, Command Z. Now I do it again, so I drop it here, and this time I'm going to keep my settings and nothing is changing. So I now have a 60 frames per second clip at 4K inside my 30 frames per second sequence in full HD. And this is completely up to you, according to your workflow, if you have mixed footage and what you want to do with your sequence. Once again, if you want to know more about frame rates and resolutions, go and check my videos. They're very helpful and very explanatory as well. Now I want to show you another couple of things and I let you go your way. So I want to show you how to close sequences on the timeline, because we said a sequence runs on the timeline and you can open different sequences at the same time on the same timeline. Also, you can split the sequences, so you can increase the size of your timeline and just drag them up or down. This is a good way to see different sequences at the same time on the timeline, but also to import and drag a clip from a timeline to another. If we want to close a sequence on the timeline, we simply press on the X here. If your project is huge and you don't know where your sequence is anymore in the project panel, you simply click here on your sequence, you right click on the sequence and you go down to reveal sequence in project. and your sequence will pop up and be highlighted in the project panel. To reopen a sequence that we have closed before, it's very simple. We go to the project panel and I've closed the 60 frames per second one. So I just go here and double click on that sequence and it will open up again on my timeline. Now, if you also want to learn how to adapt the sequence to the different online platforms like TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, different aspect ratios, I've just made a tutorial last week, so go and check that out too, description tab or right here. And if you want to know more about video editing or Premiere Pro or all the Adobe softwares actually, let me know in the comments tab and I will try to cover that subject in one of my next vlogs. For now, I thank you for watching. I hope the tutorial was helpful. So as always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. God bless. A basta così siamo belli.
Seems all good times come and go your way. Child memories fall into rolling.